In the modern job market, if there's such a thing, one of the most detrimental philosophies you can carry around is the philosophy of a job. And interestingly enough, if you ask as many people as possible who are coming out of school, who are coming out of any form of high school, any form of university or college, you ask them what's the next thing that they want to do. For the most part, many people will tell you they're looking for a job. And today we're continuing in this mini series where we are talking about the 7 deadly or the 7 detrimental philosophies in the modern job market. And today we're discussing jobs. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
You know, I've always had this weird thought. I've always wondered, who was that guy? Who was the very first guy to be declared jobless? Since Adam, since the world began, if you believe the world began from an atom or from a ball of dust, whatever. But who was that first guy that was the ground zero for joblessness? Who was that person that was the pioneer, so to speak, of joblessness? And it's an interesting question. If you approach that question from that particular angle and you just started imagining and going back in time and started imagining what circumstances was this guy living, in what circumstances was he existing or was she existing, what was going on, was he retrenched, what happened that it's declared that this guy was jobless? And since then, the number has increased into ever increasing millions. The philosophy of jobs. There are 7 detrimental philosophies in the modern job market. And in my writing at this hour, I am writing about work. I am talking about being immersed in something probably that is greater than yourself, something that you love doing, something that you've been equipped to do, something that contributes to the lives of other people. And is there a comparison between a job and work? And I've of course noted that there could be a big difference between the two. And that's why the philosophy of jobs or the philosophy of a job can be a very detrimental philosophy in today's world. You see, when jobs were invented, when people started being hired way back in time, there was this demand-supply curve, if you could imagine together with me. There was so much to be done, and probably there was less skilled people. Of course, this comes with the industrial revolution and so on and so forth. And then the office space starts evolving, and then the information technology and so on. But then, very many people started looking to upskill themselves to get skilled for the sole purpose that they will get a job, that they will be employed. Why? Because employment came or still comes with, number one, it comes with certainty. Number two, it comes with a package, a pay package, which means if you wanted to pay your mortgage, if you wanted to pay rent, if you wanted to take your girlfriend out, if you wanted to do XYZ, to pay bills, you need income. And the most obvious way of getting income is for somebody to employ you. And so you look at schools today, or you look at the people who have just graduated. Go to any graduation ceremony today in any university in Africa, or maybe even in other parts of the world, and you interview everyone who's graduating. Interview them, ask them, okay, tell me, so what next? A good percentage, more than 70%, if not 90%, they will tell you, I'm gonna look for a job. That's the philosophy that I'm up against today. See, this philosophy states that the only option available after school is a job. And the problem with that philosophy is this, that it tells you that even before school ends, you cannot do nothing. You cannot be creative, you cannot own a business, you cannot volunteer, you cannot be an intern. In between schools, you cannot create something out of your talents and something out of your gifts and sell it and so on. That philosophy is still there, and I see very few people trying to fight it. A friend of mine has his kids who are still in primary school. Every time we have this meeting, he organizes meetings. Every time we have these meetings, and we go, men of like passions, women of like passions, we go to these meetings. I see those kids with artifacts that they are selling. They have been delivered from the philosophy of jobs. That philosophy states that the only option available for you after school is a job. One time I had the privilege of talking to a group of young people, and we were discussing these issues about the strategic plan of your life. This is a group of young people who were actually out of school, and they belong to a particular church. We went somewhere and they called me to come and talk to them. And I started retracing their steps in life in order that I can show them what their next step could be. And up to near mathematical precision, we were able to classify the journeys that each and every one has taken, which mirrored. It was nearly the same. These people were born, they went to nursery school, and then they went to primary school, and then they went to high school, and then some of them went to college, and now they were looking for the next option in life. Do you know what they told me? They told me our next step is, and they gave it a name, streetology. Of course, they were naming it after biology, chemistry, and so on. Streetology is a term they give that refers to this phase of your life. Actually, it's a phase of their lives that they thought. It doesn't have to be that way, but they thought that is the same thing that they're supposed to go. All of them, nearly all of them. In fact, there was nobody who had a counter review. Cytology is a phase of their lives, that's what they told me, where they will be preparing CVs, and we talked about a CV, the philosophy of the CVs in the previous episode. They prepare CVs and they drop them from one street office to another. That's the name streetology comes from. One street corner to another, one street office to another, as they are walking. In Kenya they call it potholing. In other words, that you jump through potholes as you're walking because you don't have fare to pay for transportation, and so you go through your foot and you pass through potholes as you're dropping your CVs from one office to another. Granted, I gave it to them, and then we continued tracing their steps. So after that, what happens? After that, you get a job. Okay, and then what happens? You get a small house, you move out of your parents' house or your guardian's house and so on. And what happens? You fall in love and you want to get married, and what happens? You raise money, people help you to raise money, and then you raise money and then you get married. And what happens? Then you have kids. And then what happens? And then they grow old. And then what happens? You retire. You can see that progression in life, it's like it is mirroring the assembly line production of the Industrial Revolution. With certain mathematical precision. You've got to go from this to this, from this to this, and all of you, as in there was no one of these people, nobody among us, this group of young people who had a counter review. No one was telling me I don't have to go to university. And I'm not calling people to do that. No one was telling me anything contrary to that. No one was telling me something greater or bigger than themselves. That philosophy is so ingrained that it is unconsciously attached to some invisible life cycle that people in the current job market are going through, especially those ones who are looking for jobs for the very first time. See, we need to come to a level where we realize that in the modern world, it is not the only option that you do have. Even while you are in school, who said you cannot do something that is creative, something that can add value to people in life, and something that you can get paid out of as you are enjoying life? Who said you cannot explore one area? Why did God gift you in your singing and in your speaking and in your writing? For what purpose? Why is there some fire in you that is gravitating towards protection of the environment, or protection of the girl child, or the community development? Why is there that fire? Why is it that it has to be a job that is the next plausible thing that you can do? We need to come to that level where we know that jobs are not necessarily the holy grail of making it in life. And let me tell you this, the traditional jobs, the way we know them, they are not the same way as the first time the person who was jobless came to be. In other words, there were plenty of jobs in the past. Jobs are basically official ways where you can earn money. When someone employs you and you earn money. But that is not the only way of generating income. If you want to generate income, you just have to solve a problem, or you just have to provide value. Either you solve a problem. Sometimes there is no problem to solve, so the next best thing that you can do is to provide value, something that someone did not see. And like I mentioned in the first episode in this series, that if you came to my website, for example, you are a website designer, and that's what you studied in school, and now you come to my website and no one has given you a job so far, but you spot something that is not necessarily a problem on my website, but something that you can add value to, and you can come to me and tell me, Lawrence, guess what? You can do this and do this and do this, and you can increase this and increase this and increase that. I noted A, B, and C on your website. If you can tweak it like this, then it can be able to bring you this. And I am the guy who can do that. That is a breath of fresh air as compared to someone who is sitting there waiting for someone to go to the newspapers and advertise. We are looking for a Dreamweaver expert. We're looking for a Flash Adobe expert. We're looking for someone who can design for us websites and maintain websites. We're looking for a social media expert. Things have changed. The philosophy of jobs states that the only option available to everyone to make it in life is getting a job. Jobs are not there, but the opportunities to make a difference, I am telling you, the opportunities to add value in life, they are existing in this life. One of my mentors, Mike Maddox, says he can come into your house and in one instance can identify 37 things that can add value to life and that you can be able to earn from. And it's the pure truth. See, the extreme ends of the philosophy of a job. I remember I was in Ghana at one point in time interviewing people for jobs. At that particular moment in time, the president of Nigeria was called Goodluck Jonathan. And so for some reason, a guy comes into the interviewing room and he's so particular. He says, I want a permanent job in a government institution. That's what I'm looking for. I asked him, do you know the first name of the president of Nigeria? He said yes. And he didn't even know why I was asking him that. Granted, it's okay for you to have clarity of what you really want in life. That's one of the things we teach, that you need to have clarity of what you want. But you also need to be realistic. For you to get a permanent job in the government, there has to be a vacancy. Someone either has to die or someone has to be fired. And for you to do that, you are competing against as many people as possible in that particular country. But the thing is that the moment you're waiting for a job from the government, it doesn't negate the fact that there are very many other things that you could actually be doing. So you have a group of people who want a particular kind of a job. Me, I can only be employed in the telecom industry. I do not want to work in the secretarial industry. I want only to work in a telephone company that pays X amount of money, has this kind of severance packages, has this kind of benefits, and so on and so forth. That is the philosophy of jobs. That philosophy makes you to overlook as many opportunities in your vicinity as possible that you could actually be doing. And actually you're doing absolutely nothing, waiting for that job to come. Listen, I have already stated in some previous episodes that there is something called the gig economy. The gig economy works when you have fired the philosophy of jobs. The gig economy is when you present value to people and you get paid for it in short-term contracts. It could be a 1-hour contract actually to translate something. Probably you're a linguist. I have a brother who is a serious linguist. He's very good in Swahili translation. He's not doing translation, by the way. He's just good in Swahili, and he could convert that, could add value to his skill and become a translator. He is currently a teacher, becomes a translator, and you're paid in hours. And you don't have to go from 8 to 5. You're paid in hours. Or you can go to these job places like Upwork, where you upload your CV, and CV is in quotes, and you say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that for you at this rate. And you compete against people. That's what a gig is. And we are gonna live in the gig economy. There's a paper actually, if you Google the word gig, G-I-G economy, it will bring to you some article from the Inc. magazine that says that it's projected that by the year 2020, 40% of Americans will be working in the gig economy. And you and I know when America sniffs, the rest of the world catches a cold. This philosophy has caused people to lose very many opportunities that they can be able to generate income as they wait for their dream job. And actually, as you're doing this, as you are getting these opportunities and grabbing these opportunities to create income, what are you doing? You are building capacity. You are being a good steward of your time. You're making yourself sharper. You're making yourself way ahead of your peers. But if you sit there waiting for a job so that you can be valuable in this life, you've lost it. It has caused people to wait for vacancies to be advertised in the newspapers, on TV and on radios, so that they can apply, so that they can go there and with their CVs. We talked about CVs, and they can attend an interview. We talked about interviews in the past episode. So in fact, this philosophy says that without a job, you are a failure. It does. That's why we talked, and we said in one of the previous episodes when we were talking about how you can introduce yourself, especially when you're in a crisis, when someone asks you, so what do you do? It's one of the most dreaded questions. And it comes from this mentality that if you are not doing anything that someone is paying you for, then you're useless or you're a failure. It says that the only way you can be successful in life is to get a job, a high-paying job in a multinational company. In one extreme, by the way, this philosophy says that a good job is where the company provides you with a car, a computer, a house, and all these other gadgets. In other words, if I'm not going to get that, then I'm not going to be working. In another extreme, the philosophy states that the only option available in life is to get any job. Any job. That's why you ask, someone comes for an interview and they're going to ask, which is a good spirit, okay? But pray tell me, why will you say that you can do anything? And I know there's a scripture that people are perverting. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That scripture is out of context, but I'm not going to talk about scriptures here. Any job. Give me any job. Are you serious? Consequently, many people are walking around doing nothing because no one has given them a job. The truth of the matter, however, is that a job is not the only option available to making it in life. Interestingly, people who are doing something as they wait for the dream job to come, they tend to get jobs faster. Those who are engaged, there is something about being engaged even when nobody is paying you. There's something about being engaged that creates some creativity, makes these creative juices to start flowing you, ideas start flowing in you. You all of a sudden you start walking like you are going somewhere, like there's something going on in your life, like you see you're alive, you're ambitious, you look sharper, you're ready to go. The eyes of an employer are able to spot you further than someone who is just waiting to be called for an interview. So in a nutshell, the philosophy of jobs is killing our people in this day and age. It makes us to be zombies waiting for someone to trigger us and give us a job. And those of us who have not been given a job, we feel like we are useless in society, we are failures, and there's nothing we can do that it can make us successful. Nothing can be further from the truth. And I think from the word go, from the time you're getting out of school, you need to fire that philosophy of jobs and get valuable in the moment. And I've talked about this over and over again. If you can sing, why don't you sing? Why don't you hone that skill? If you can speak, why don't you hone that speaking skill? This world, I can guarantee you, is void of speakers. Very many people slap their titles on, I am a motivational speaker, and when you go to be motivated by them, they are not motivated themselves because they are copying and pasting what they had from Les Brown and Bill Gates and what they had from Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins. They have nothing of their own that is original content. The world is devoid of people who are gifted and who are talented, who are actually bringing that glory into the face of the world. Why? Because a group of people are looking to be employed. I hope this makes sense to you, and I hope as you continue, you're going to fire that philosophy of jobs, and in its place, replace it with this ever-increasing philosophy of value. You have value that you can add in this life, even if you're not being paid for it yet. Do it. Thank you for listening, and bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.